I'm going to read Bill's bio because it's just very impressive, but I've known Bill a while here. So Bill is a senior advisor at eSource, and he's also president of the Boulder Energy Group, and he's vice president of marketing, vice president of consulting, and vice president of research for eSource. The bottom line is I've known Bill for a while, and what I really like and appreciate about him is that he's real. And because ultimately the bottom line of this isn't an academic exercise, it's putting together programs and services that connect us with our customers and actually engage them in doing something.
Behavior change marketing. Is it possible? What can we really do through education and social marketing? This was from February. Things will have changed a bit. But when you ask people in general, of all the things that matter to you, energy does come up on the list. You know, we've got environment, global warming, much, much lower than the economy. But when it comes down to what's really important, when you say what's the most important thing, energy rarely shows up on the list. And I saw a talk today that corroborated this information quite closely. So, yeah, it's on the list, but it's not life and death to me right now. So how do we know that marketing stuff works? You buy water, it costs more than gasoline at $4 a gallon. You're not buying the water, you're buying the thing it comes in. Those are reusable. You could fill them up yourself and use the cap over and over again. But this is amazing that they've gotten us to buy this stuff. A lot of it. So I've got this new product. It's called Aquanata. It's just a case of empty bottles. And I include instructions on how to fill them up and put the caps on. I think it's going to do well. I really do. So I'm gonna have some clips from my. Who's seen Power Walking at all? So some of you have seen it. So I've got some clips from it. Have you heard of real-time pricing?
Not really.
Well, real-time pricing has a lot to do with the loading order of the power plants, because there's like base load power plants that are typically coal or nuclear, and then there's intermediate plants. And there's the peakers, which are typically gas turbines. The prices of the fuel input for all these, and it depends upon the heat rate as well. So, well, anyway, because at nighttime only the base load power plants run, then the prices can be pretty low. Are you with me here? Real-time pricing will give consumers the information that they need to be able to turn appliances off and on exactly at the right time to help the energy system. So you can sign up for real-time pricing. If you can sign up for real-time pricing, then you might be able to save a little bit on your energy bill. So maybe 5%, sir? If you can save 5%. It's pretty amazing, because those are pretty much... Have you heard of the words that we use when we explain load management? Demand response. They love that one. I didn't even include any clips. Demand response. They go, whoa. Sounds like my mother, a demand response. Never call me. And so we have to be really, really careful about how we name things. One thing that the drug companies do, you've noticed this, is the generic version of what they invent is extraordinarily difficult to spell and pronounce. Like, what's Tylenol? Acetamethyl. Yeah, we can't say it, right? And so they call it Tylenol, and that's so that when they lose their patent, that people still ask for Tylenol instead. What we do as an industry is we only do the difficult one, and then we don't do the easy one. But we need to think about why we use words that we do internally and don't translate them. So standard versus social marketing. Pretty simple overall concept, which is that with standard marketing, you're selling a program, a product, or a service that typically derives benefit for the purchaser or their company. Social marketing use some of the same techniques, but you have a benefit that derives to a social good and also deals with behavior change typically. So those are the big differences. You still use market research, you still use mass media, direct mail, communities, but it's that behavior change element as well as the societal good that gets involved. So who's the audience for social marketing? Well, there's multiple audiences. This is everybody. But the way I look at it is there's the downstream, upstream side. And a lot of people think about it only downstream. How do we influence residential customers to behave in a certain way? But sometimes it's more effective to go upstream and influence the influencers. So maybe that's a manufacturer or architects, or in your case, it's the city council, government relations. So you have to think of the way of behavior change as not just the end user, and sometimes it's much more effective to go midstream and upstream. What is a community? Our view of a community needs to be very, very broad at this point in time. It can be clubs, it can be places that you frequent socially, it can be your place of work. And right now we're seeing a blossoming of online communities. And so all of those can and should be used to implement social marketing programs. So one of the things that I've discovered studying this is that something called social norms are very, very important. So norms are essentially all the things that we do because of how we grew up and who we hang with and what the accepted approaches are to doing anything, saying anything. So it's kind of like being politically correct. And I love this one because there has to be a pack of them, or if it's just one of them, they're going to get beat up, right? Why are you wearing that? It's just not cool. But when they're together, they think they're cool together, which they still aren't, but they have enough support from their buddies. And, in Boulder, whoa, you go to the coffee shops and they overrun the whole thing. But the social norms are way, way more powerful than I ever had imagined. And there's some good literature on it, but it's something that everybody in here needs to be very aware of. Why are people acting and thinking the way they do? And it's very likely it's because their friends, relatives, neighbors act a certain way. So if you can get some people to change, then they're likely to pull the whole community along with them. It's very interesting. So how do you create a social marketing approach? And I've got a few more videos here for you.
Can you tell me what a kilowatt hour is?
A kilowatt. Kilo is like 1,000, so it's 1,000 of something of an hour, maybe.
Which meter is it?
I don't have a clue. I know I see it on the light bulbs, but I don't know what it is.
That's a unit of measurement of energy, but I couldn't do the actual how much and what.
Can you do the math?
I would imagine it's a kilowatt over the period of time of an hour. I don't know.
That's exactly right. It's incredible.
I got a college degree.
And perfect.
There you go. So, these are real people, regular customers. They have no idea what we're selling them. Everybody buys this stuff. What's a kilowatt hour? 1,000 something, or they don't even think about it. And I don't even know if they should think about it. Maybe it's better if they don't. But look at one of your bills. I don't know what this mud bill looks like, but I just looked at my Excel bill, and it doesn't even tell me how much I pay per kilowatt hour. It's broken it into 12 subsegments. We make it as hard as possible for people to like our stuff. So again, the messenger is really important when you're trying to convince someone to think some way, behave some way, or act in a different manner. So your brand, which I know you guys are all over because you have this branding study going on right now, right? Really important. It's not just fluff. It's not fluff. It is the entryway for everything else that you do and try to convince people to do and sell them on energy efficiency and net zero homes and everything else, because you have to be a credible messenger.